Good evening, paranormal community. Thank you for partaking in the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. David Sorey. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening, paranormal universe.
Did you almost call it a para-universe?
Para-universe almost came out. Paranormal, it kind of dragged out there a little bit. Paranormal universe.
That's all right. That's all right. We can combine it. We call it the para-universe.
Para-universe, yeah. There you go. New phrase.
The Odyssey universe. We call them the Odysseyites.
Oh yeah. There you go. Oh. There's the next T-shirt.
Odysseyites.
Yeah.
They probably think that that's like a takeoff of what the hell? What do they call the things dripping down from the cave? Stalagmites or
stalagmites.
Stalagmites. There we go. Stalagmites. Yep. I was close.
Yep, you were right there.
As always. I always seem to be right there.
You're in the neighborhood, man, like 90% of the time.
I can see the house. I just can't get to the driveway.
Exactly. You can't figure out quite where the driveway is, but damn it, he sees exactly where he's headed.
You have no idea how often that actually happens to me in real life.
Well, I've seen it happen.
I mean, like driving, like literally.
Not driving.
Yeah. No, you haven't. But I meant like literally driving, and like I can see the house.
How do we get there?
Don't know where the driveway is. So, those of you who have messed up driveways, shame on you.
They like to hide them,
or
keep it secret.
Or what I have noticed a lot lately, and this has nothing to do with paranormal. This is just stupidity, which I guess is paranormal in and of itself. But like, I have always been told that like the front of the house faces the street that it's on. You know, if you live
for the most part, yes.
If you live on First Street, like either your garage or the front of your house faces First Street. And then,
that would make sense for you to have an address that is First Street. You would have something like the front of your house facing First Street. I would agree.
Right. And yet I have seen so many homes where the front of the house and the garage and the driveway are all facing the adjacent street. They're all like the corner.
So it'd be like on Second Street and not First Street, so to speak, as an example.
Well, I mean, like, let's say you lived on the corner of First Street and First Ave, and your address was First Street. Everything of your house is facing First Ave.
Gotcha.
I hate that.
Bastards.
It is. I curse it every time. But that's neither here nor there. That's just a rant that just suddenly came.
I was going to say that's a rant that is headed in the wrong direction for the show.
Yes, it is. This is not the Jaded Driver, which I might add is my new Instagram page. So if you want to follow my transportation travels throughout the years, you can go to the Instagram and do a search for the Jaded Driver. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So before we get into stories, because we're going to do the stories and then we're going to finish up our conversation dealing with the most haunted highways, because
we didn't get too far last time.
No, we didn't. And we're not going to get too far this time. But if we don't get too far through both shows together, when you put them together, we have the
one
full
and a half fast show. Yeah, I agree.
Sure, whatever. But
like I said, it's not always the topic. It's the conversation that makes the episode good, not the topic of the show. Because there's a lot of times we'll have a topic and we go way off, but we go to someplace that's really phenomenal, and then we have a really good show on something totally not related to the title of the show. That's happened on more than one occasion.
Oh yeah, I still remember the Plan B episode where the whole show was just, this is not what we had intended, but this is what we're going to do.
This is where we're headed.
But that was because we had a guest who canceled like 10 minutes before the show, and we had nothing planned.
No, that's.
But anyway,
yeah.
So I want to give everybody a fair warning of what is going to happen next week. So Dave is moving
Mm-hmm.
to a new location and will not be available next week. So when he's not on, don't think that you're missing a holiday.
Right, exactly.
There's
It's
no
not my
holiday.
birthday and it's no holiday. I just happen to be, I'm moving and won't have everything set up at the new location by next weekend.
Exactly. So here is what is going to happen, and this is important. So there is going to be a show. My paranormal team, Odyssey Paranormal Society, got together this afternoon and we went over our evidence from our 2-day cemetery event, which we talked about on the show a couple times. And we got some pretty good stuff. So next week, in lieu of Dave being gone, I'm going to be bringing on the team and we are going to have an evidence reveal. So we'll be playing our EVPs and we will be showing our video evidence. So the reason that I bring this up is not only to promote next week's show, because we do have some pretty cool stuff, not to mention personal experiences to talk about. But if you usually listen to the show audio only, you download it on iHeart, or Spreaker, Spotify, whatever, you probably will not be able to hear the show because, like I said, we do have some video, and some of it is not necessarily clips where it's like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and then we're back. Some of them is like a minute or 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. So if you're not watching, you're just going to hear nothing but silence. And I don't want to do that to anybody.
Not to mention people think that the show's over.
Or they'll think that the show's over.
They'll think, oops, technical difficulties, click, and then move on to whatever else they're going to do next.
Or if you're listening on your Alexa, which you can ask your Alexa to play our show. If there's a bit of silence, it will throw commercials in.
Nice.
Just randomly.
Nice.
Right. So it'll like stop. And so, yeah, you don't want to do that. So
start promoting itself or Motel 6 or something along those lines.
And it has happened because I don't. But then again, it was when we were on Joel's network. So I don't know if Alexa does that or Joel's program did. But either way, it happened like right in the middle of some of my sentences.
It was probably Joel's program.
Maybe. But I don't want people to have to sit there for like 2 minutes and just listen to silence or listen to like our reactions or whatever it is. So it's going to be on our YouTube channel. It's going to be on our Facebook channel. And it will stay up for people who aren't available to watch it live. But in order to see next week's show or listen to next week's show, you're going to have to do it video. You're going to have to watch it on your phone, but you're going to have to watch it. So just want to give everybody a heads up so they can plan accordingly and don't think that maybe we don't have a show next week. Because we do. It's just not going to be audio.
It'll be unique. It'll be kind of unique in its setup.
I think so. I mean, because we're going to have the entire team talking about their experiences and going over pieces of evidence. I mean, there's going to be a lot of evidence. I think we had like 17 different pieces.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like 6 or 7 of them are Spirit Box. You know how much I love
your favorite toy. Yeah.
Yes.
I love Spirit Box. You absolutely hate it.
But honestly, it was the first time I ever used the S box, which is the ghost stop version
I've never
of
used
it.
that one. Is that the little orange one, like a rectangular size one?
Right. It looks like a little small boom box or whatever.
Yeah, I've never used that one.
No, and it was the first time that I used it as well. And to be honest, the speaker was way, way better and way clearer. And you don't even have to use the JBL for this one.
Nice.
And for the cemetery that we were at, which usually does not have, at least it hasn't in the past like 3-4 times we've been there, have had really any Spirit Box interaction. We got some pretty interesting responses, including some intelligent ones.
Nice.
So looking forward to sharing all of that with everybody. And And yeah, so I hope you'll join us next week at the normal time, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time, and we'll have the team here, and it'll be a merry old time of evidence.
And I'll be pouring sweat trying to move my stuff around.
Yep, don't worry. Well,
feeling like I'm going to fall and my spine's just going to break and I'm just going to fall in half. And then I think that's going to happen one of these days. Like I'm just going to fall over and just like snap right in the middle. That's what it feels like.
Wow.
That's a visual, huh? That's what it feels like some days. I'm just like, really, just throw the towel in, man. Anyway.
Just throw in the towel.
Just throw it in the towel.
Well, no.
Just go get a real comfortable bed and just. I'll be one of them guys like you cut out of the house, weighs like 1,200 pounds, and I sell jeans in my spare time, and
that's very specific.
Somebody rescue him. I'll be on some TV show.
You said 400 pounds, 500 pounds,
1,200 pounds,
1,200 pounds. And you sell jeans.
Yeah, did you ever see that was from an episode of, I don't remember what it was, but there was a guy, regretfully, a guy had let himself go. And I think he was at like 1,400 and some pounds. And he was just humanly, I swear to God, he was just a head and then like Jabba the Hutt. And that's what he did is he sold jeans out of his bedroom. I don't even know. Don't ask me. I didn't get too in depth with it. But the part I remember is the fire department came and they had to chainsaw the side of his house out of his bedroom wall to get the helicopter lift in to take him to the hospital because otherwise he was a dead man. Like everybody was like, dude, you're just gonna die right here, or you need help, and so they got him help and took him to the hospital and stuff. Wow. But we're way off course here, man. We got like all kinds of stories to get through. Let's go talk. We got to get focused here. People are already hanging up. What the hell are these guys
they
talking
are
about
not.
Tonight?
They love our stories and our conversations.
Our conversations.
That's right. That's right. All right, here we go. Starting story. Oh, my bad. I almost forgot.
Uh-oh.
All right, everybody, here we go. The Odyssey Files is proud to present the mailbag. Completely forgot to do that. It's not in the habit yet.
We would have heard it for sure. We'd have heard about it.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, because we don't hear about anything else. Where's the mailbag intro? Did you already get rid of it?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
matter
not even close.
No, I like the mailbag entrance. That's going to go along with the bullshit flag and then like the approved stamp and other things that we're going to slowly integrate into the show.
I agree.
I totally love the bullshit flag idea. Like when we read some of these things and we're both just shaking our head as we're reading it or talking about it. We need need the dude throwing the bullshit flag, like a referee throwing the bullshit flag or something.
And we definitely need to start incorporating this.
Michael's right.
No.
Michael's right.
No.
Michael's right.
Oh, we do. We don't need that at all.
Yes, we do.
I'm going to have to get a hold of Ken and have him do a promo for me and then slap it in the show.
The only one that can slap it in the show is me.
True, but I could play it on a recording right here by my microphone.
Fine. If you want Ken to come up with David's right.
No, I don't want Ken to come up with David's right. No.
All right, anyway.
So
here we go. Well, story number one, even though these are from last week. But
we got three from last week and then some, which are good ones. That's why we're using them. And then some good ones that I picked up during the week here. So
absolutely. All right. So number one, static shock and supernatural events? ? I work at a hotel in a very remote town in northern Canada. And once a week I work the kitchen in the staff accommodation. This town is rife with unexplained phenomena. What a great sentence.
Yeah, it is.
Rife with unexplained phenomena. And I have already had many experiences with energies that reached me here. The staff accommodation is an abandoned hotel that they let staff live in for very cheap and this spot has shown me multiple poltergeist or spirit-related activities. However, my question is in regard to static shock. Near the end of my day, I was removing all the dishes from the sink with sanitizer in it, and one of the pots shocked me. There are no electrical outlets anywhere near the sink. For over an hour, everything in the sink, water, pots, plates, shocked me with static. I had to empty that sink with 2 towels wrapped around my hands to grab things because the shocks were that painful. I could still feel the shocks through the towels. Has anyone else experienced static water shock and paranormal activity? No. So, I mean,
Totally new to me.
obviously we feel static, and we do get shocks when we're coming around to the paranormal. And when we're doing investigations, I mean, that's one way to tell that a spirit is around you. You feel that static charge, kind of lifting your hairs on your arm and stuff like that. And you could just feel, that something's next to you. This, on the other hand, I don't think is paranormal at all. I think that there's probably something, a wire in the wall, or something that is going on that is touching the sink, touching the metal. I mean, when you combined water and electricity, you don't have fun. And so I'm thinking what is going on here is a piece of electricity is connecting to the sink, or something connected to the sink, and it's it's creating a conduit that obviously leads to where you are. And anytime you reach for something in the water or something like that, yeah, you're going to get a shock, and a painful one at that. Just be thankful, obviously, you weren't actually electrocuted, which I think would be the next step in that progression. But yeah, I mean, it's great that you have experiences in this hotel. I don't know what your poltergeist and entity experiences are. I just don't think that this is one of them. Even though the static charge and even a shock is definitely something that a spirit can do, just not in this instance.
My question would be, why would you continue to stick your hands in there?
You have a job to do, Dave.
I get it, but there's a drain at the bottom. I mean, just drain the thing, so that you don't die sticking your hand in the water. I find it interesting. I'm with you on this one. I don't think it's paranormal at all, because I don't think, first of all, the first reason I would say it's not paranormal is because, think about it. If it takes, did he say it took yeah, I don't think he said how long it took, but let's just say it takes you 15 minutes, 10, whatever, because you're getting shocked. So you're stopping, you're not just continually putting your hand. So let's say you got a whole thing of dishes in there. It's going to, and pots and pans, it's going to take you 10, 15 minutes. I think that would be an extremely long time for an entity to be putting out that kind of energy. That would be shocking you. I have had some long sessions. They feel long. Let's put it this way, right? They feel like a long time when you're in the moment. Obviously it feels like it's 10 minutes when it's really a minute, but you're so engaged and engrossed with what is happening to you that your time slows down, is kind of that feeling. I don't know that that's what happened here, but I'm with you. I think that there's some sort of bad wire somewhere that's causing a jump, a little bit of electricity to jump to the sink because there's water in it. And so it's creating a dangerous situation. Again, I don't know why you would continue to stick your hands in there. I mean, you're lucky you're not dead yourself. You're lucky you're not a ghost yourself. But I don't think that this is paranormal. And I think that just because there's other stuff happening at the location, like he said, multiple poltergeist spirit related activities, just because there's other things happening at the location doesn't mean that everything that's happening there is paranormal. And I would say that this is one of those situations where that's clearly the case. I don't think it's paranormal. I think you need to be careful. I think you need to get somebody in and check the wiring in that place. So God forbid somebody doesn't get electrocuted next time they get dish duty. So, all right, we ready? Moving on.
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, number 6 or number 2, whatever. My Bible has been open on my desk for the past 2 mornings, and I don't read the Bible. That is a hell of an interesting opening, and that's why I chose this one. For the past 2 mornings, I found my Bible sitting on my desk opened. Yesterday morning, I saw this and had a quick what the F moment, and then stashed it away, not thinking much about it. This morning, it happened again. This time I paid more attention, and it was turned to Daniel 3. I'm freaking lost on this one. I'm very much agnostic and haven't read my Bible in years. My housemate is the same, and I definitely trust when they say they had nothing to do with it. There's no one else around, much less anyone else who would be reading the Bible. I've never felt any sort of presence or anything else where I stay, even though it's quite old, with a very old church nearby. No one else has access to my study besides me, and the door was locked both times. I don't know what to make of any of this. Has anyone else had anything like this happen? I'm a bit scared, to be honest. Okay. First of all, I can't get past the title, and I can't get past the context of this and the fact that your Bible is open, but you don't read the Bible. And if you don't read the Bible, then why do you claim it's your Bible and it's your Bible that's open when you are agnostic? Why do you own a Bible?
Maybe he turned agnostic.
Yeah, that would be my question, though. And then why would you have it? So that would be my first question if I was interviewing this person or talking to them about activity in their house. That would be a core question for me. Secondly, Daniel 3 basically summed up quickly is King Nebuchadnezzar creates a false god out of a false god idol out of gold and jewels and stuff, and tells everybody that this is their new god, and that everybody in his kingdom that this is their new god, and that they need to follow this god because this is what he ordains, and that he tells, this is, if you don't believe in this, then we're going to kill you, punish you, throw you into the pit of fire, blah, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, there are 3 not disciples of Jesus, but 3 followers of Christ at that time who absolutely refused to worship a false idol like this. And so he has them rounded up, and he has them basically cast into what they have created to scare people in the center of this area, which is this raging fire that they've got going. And he's like, anybody who doesn't worship this and get down on their knees and worship this idol as their new god is going to be tossed into this fire and be cleansed by the fire of this new god. So these 3 say, whatever, we're not doing it. We follow the teachings of Christ, and we're not listening to you. He gets his guards, they throw him in the fire, and then they watch as these 3 guys are standing in the fire completely unscathed, and walk back out of this burning pit and tell him, basically that God is with us and that what you're doing is wrong. Yeah. So if it's open to, I would be very interested to see if it was open to Daniel 3 both times. And I would say that this is something where there's something is going to happen in your life in the very near future. And this is a foreshadowing of it. And somebody who really cares about you, whether it be a guardian angel or a past loved one that's passed away or whatever, is really, really trying to reach out to you and giving you some huge clues that you better get your shit together and get back into your faith, would be what I would say. That coming from my standpoint and my beliefs. You could look at it a different way. If you didn't have faith, would be easily the same result for me, would be something major is coming your way and you need to get prepared for it. And that there's going to be this, basically the story of the King Nebuchadnezzar, that there's going to be something that's going to try to persuade you to follow this false image or this false guidance. And that's exactly what it is false. And you need to stay the path. I think it's pretty clear that it's paranormal. I mean, if nobody has access to your study and it's locked, and both times the door was locked, which clearly states that it was, and nobody else has a key and nobody else can get in there, and both times your Bible is out and open to a passage, I think it's pretty hard to argue that that's not something paranormal. So that would be my advice. I would say that there's somebody's really trying to reach out to you. Listen.
Or read in this instance.
Or read in this instance, right? But pay attention that something major is going to happen in your life.
I don't have a lot to add to this one, just because it is that rare. And there's not a lot of information other than my Bible was open. I don't read the Bible.
Right.
And here's the passage it was at like once. I do find the passage like summary that you gave to be very interesting. And I'm with you on the fact that I think that it's obviously a message that something is going to happen in their life that is going to make them a fork in the road is coming. I don't necessarily think that it's religious in origin. This is just a very good and very specific message to give. I think that it's meant more as a warning that this divergence is coming, and this is a good example of what they're talking about. I mean, if it is religious, fine, but I mean, in Daniel 3, as you said it, there's still two religious things. It's religion over here to the left and religion over here to the right. One is good, one is false.
Right.
Whereas this guy's agnostic. So, I mean, he wouldn't even be following one of the paths. But I do think the path he is on is going to hit some sort of barrier where he's going to be forced to make a choice, and somebody's going to try and force him to make it. And I agree with you. I think that the fact that this, whatever entity, whether it's a guardian angel, whether it's a spirit guide, is trying to get in touch with him, and this is the only way that they know how, I think is trying to tell him that he needs to, he should not veer.
Right.
I do wish that there was more information. I find this fascinating.
I do too. I mean, this would be a great interview.
I love if there was more to it.
Right.
It'd be a short interview. It was, I woke up one day and it was open. Yeah. I put it away, and then I woke up the next day and it was there again. And that was the end.
Yeah.
That'd be a very short interview.
The shortest interview on the planet Earth on a podcast.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, hope you enjoyed the show.
But I mean, this is just an example of a very, very distinctive message that somebody's trying to give you. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Don't ignore it. Even though they chose the Bible to do it, whether it's religious or not,
right.
Don't ignore a message like that.
No, I don't think the consequences are good. Like, if you choose to ignore this, like I feel, if you choose to ignore it, I think automatically you're going to default to the wrong path, is kind of the feeling I get, that this is a crucial decision coming up for you. And that if you just go, whatever, and you just let it play out without giving a shit about it, that it's going to lead you onto the path of falseness, for lack of a better term. I don't want to say false God, because that's not, I don't think that's what's happening here. I don't think that you're being led to a false God. I think there's more to Daniel 3 than that. I mean, that was a quick summary. Obviously, the story is substantially longer, but I don't want to take a half hour to pick Daniel 3 apart. So.
Exactly. All right. Does anyone have any information on shadow people? What?
Nothing. It says, does anyone have any information on shadow people? I was just raising my hand.
Oh, gotcha. I'd flipped off the screen, so I didn't see that. Oh. I have conducted extensive research on shadow people, particularly focusing on the white ones, as I have frequently been seeing them as of lately. I found that it is commonly believed that they manifest during episodes of sleep paralysis. However, in my personal experiences, I have observed them while fully conscious and capable of movement. Whenever they appear, I am completely aware of their presence, yet they do not invoke any feelings of unease within me. Interestingly, these encounters tend to occur when I'm alone, although the white ones seem to appear at their own discretion. Sometimes they hide in corners, while other times they simply stand in front of me observing. What's intriguing is that they do not vanish immediately upon being noticed. Instead, they wait until I avert my gaze before disappearing once again. Additionally, apparently, a white shadow person never disappears when being looked at.
I guess not.
Additionally, I have consistently encountered the same white shadow entity at a very specific time each day. As the topic of shadow people doesn't have a concrete evidence or research, I haven't been able to find much information regarding them and their recent appearance. The information I've gathered has been through other personal experiences that they have shared. So if you guys have any information, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay. So what I'm going to say might be a little harsh. And then I don't think you're dealing with shadow people whatsoever. Shadow people typically do not hide in corners. They can obviously come out anytime they want at their discretion, but they're never white. There's no such thing as albino shadow person. I think you're dealing with an entity of some sort, but I don't think they're shadow people. What you're dealing with, I have no flipping idea. I mean, obviously, as a shadow person, I guess, not shadow people, but a shadow person. No, shadow figure. That's what I'm looking for. Shadow figure, because there's the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when they try to manifest, they start out obviously being black, and they can turn themselves white if they want to. So, I mean, what you are experiencing is not shadow person behavior whatsoever. So either this is another species of shadow person, in which case they have chosen you for some reason to observe. Maybe they come from a different dimension than the black shadow people. I have no idea. I just don't think that traditionally you are dealing with shadow people whatsoever. And like I said, honestly, I don't know what you're dealing with, but I mean, they're obviously white. And they obviously have some sort of, I guess, fascination with you, and like only you, because like nobody else talks about like the white entities that keep showing up and sitting in front of me and observing me. I guess that the one thing that does kind of, I guess this is just other people. So I thought for a second there when I said other personal experiences that they have shared, I thought that he was saying like the shadow people were sharing their experiences with him. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I think it's other people that he's reached out to and has gotten like their take on personal experiences they've had.
Right. And I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of experiences with shadow people, but not white ones, as far as I'm aware. But yeah. And I don't think I've ever, like, period, heard of a white shadow person appearing during sleep paralysis. It's the old hag, it's the demonic entity, it's the feeling of having somebody sit on your chest, but it's never been a white entity. I don't even think it's really been a shadow person at all. So you're either dealing with something completely new, which has just started to manifest, and who knows, maybe in a year these white entities will be all over the place. Who knows? Either that, or you're either crazy or making this up. It's hard to say, but I mean, people say that 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong. That he's still alive. But if you were the only one ever that ever thought that Elvis was alive, you're probably making it up, or you're crazy, or you're dealing with something completely different. But it's probably not Elvis if you're the only one that thinks he's still alive.
Right.
So that's just my take on things. I don't know which one the answer is. You seem to be pretty... I mean, if you've done extensive research and you've actually done research on shadow people, then you would know that there's nothing on white shadow people.
And I think he kind of says that when he said that, as the topic of shadow people doesn't have any concrete evidence or research done, I haven't been able to find much information regarding them and their recent appearance. I wonder what he means by recent appearance, being that these white ones are something new and recent, and regular shadow people have been visiting him previously. But these white ones are kind of the new. Is that what he means by recent? I'm assuming it is, that the white one is the recent one.
I don't know. Like, what just flashed in my head was like literally stormtroopers, and like the regular shadow people are like the regular stormtroopers, and then the guards that guard the Empire are all in red. Like, are you dealing with another level of shadow people for some reason?
Right.
I have no idea. I'm just going to say time will tell on that one.
Okay. I think it's interesting. I definitely think it's something to tag and do 3 month, 6 month, 12-month type of look online and see if there's appears to be more reports or more sightings of white shadow people. It's a new one to me. I've never seen a white shadow person. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've never seen a white shadow person. As a matter of fact, I've seen some white misty entities, but I haven't even really seen like a great apparition of like a lady in white, like a full-blown apparition of lady. I've seen a lot of full-blown apparitions, but not the proverbial woman in white. So here's the interesting thing that I think is going on here. If there's things happening with sleep paralysis, what he thinks is sleep paralysis, and dark shadow people, or just regular shadow people that are of a darker shade of color, have been a part of his life, then I'm thinking that maybe these new white ones are not shadow people at all, but potentially some type of alien intelligence. And that's why they are not necessarily running when you see them. Like, if I don't think that they're worried about you seeing them. And I think that this potentially could kind of take a UFO turn type of setup. We talked about it when we were back doing the trilogy of what was it, Holly?
Wasn't that like wasn't that a 5-parter?
It kind of was. I mean, and it was, I thought it was great because there was a ton of information there. But it goes back to kind of with her when we did that segment with shadow people that, that they work kind of with the grays. But in my mind, I'm getting Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the intelligent alien life comes out and is friendly and like is ready to exchange time on our planet, where they leave some of their people with us, and then we send some of our people with them onto their ship. And they weren't gray, they weren't bad looking, they were white, and that's kind of where my mind is going with this, honestly. So I think that there's something going on here with the whole sleep paralysis. I think maybe this is an abduction story that's just misunderstood. But it will be interesting to see. I would love to have more information on this, and talk to this individual. So if you're listening, and you want to talk about this, and I would love to talk about it, but I think that there's something else going on here, and it's just being mislabeled as a white shadow person. I don't think it's a white shadow person. I could be wrong. Like you said, it could be a new entity that's starting to surface.
Perhaps. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's like the Marvel movies where all of a sudden it's gotten to the point where it's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And
something new shows up. Yeah.
And we have the white shadow people,
right?
Which is like an oxymoron in and of itself, because the whole point of the shadow people is that they're so dark, they're like an absence of light.
Right.
So you can't even call it a shadow person anymore because it gets rid of the shadow. So you have a white entity.
Right.
I don't even know what you would call that. A white light entity?
I mean, right away, my brain would go to, it's the antithesis of a shadow person then. So maybe there's an equal balance, a yin and a yang of that particular species, of that particular entity type. And maybe these positive ones or these white ones have been there forever, but they just have kind of taken a back seat for whatever reason. And now something happened and they're like, you know what? We're done with all the abuse that you guys are dishing out. And now we're going to step up to the plate and get involved. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe these white ones are something that's kind of a positive force of energy that is tired of this other, the more negative stuff happening, and they're trying to balance it out. I don't know.
Yeah,
be interesting.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I mean, if something like that starts showing up, I'm just saying you heard it here first. So, and that's the bottom line on that one. We talked about it first. We're taking credit.
Fair enough. All right, you're up.
I'm up. All right. I feel unsafe in my own home and I don't know what to do. So I was really getting into spirits thanks to my friend who was big into spiritual stuff. She was trying out witchcraft and I happened to get caught up in it with her. I remember her introducing me to my spirit guides and confirming I had more than one whom she knew of. So I went out and got myself a pendulum so I could speak to them more often and get some advice every now and again. Well, I really got into it, and eventually I would start to see a woman around my house, but there was nothing wrong with that. It started maybe a month after she started appearing to me that I started hearing a male voice from any time between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. I ignored him at first, thinking it was my imagination, but eventually I started indulging him and started conversing with him through my pendulum. I found out that his name was Cyril, and he was fairly nice and claimed to be another one of my spirit guides. I didn't question it, as I felt drawn to him in the same way I was drawn to my first spirit guide. I eventually told my friend about this, and she warned me to be careful, but she never outright said that he might have malicious intentions. Being a bit naive of the situation, I allowed him to touch me. He claimed he loved me, and I thought nothing of it and told my friend this. This is where I really should have been concerned, since she told me spirit guides shouldn't fall in love with the ones they are sent to protect. But I ignored her, and nothing really happened outside of the touching. I continued to talk to him like normal until one night when things changed. I got a glimpse of him as I was walking downstairs to try and get a drink, and I saw an all-black figure crouched behind my sofa. He looked like a rake if I were to compare his body to anything, and he was all black with white eyes. I freaked out and immediately called my friend, and she said she was just about to call me as my female spirit guide was at her house hiding in the corner. I'm scared and I don't know what to do. I've spoken with several people on the topic of witchcraft, and they claim it was a shadow person, but I know for a fact that it is not. I just need some advice. I feel like I'm going crazy. All right. So this is the proverbial perfect story of me and my whole life's journey of telling people, be careful what you wish for, because when you get it, you probably aren't going to like it. And this is kind of exactly what is happening here. So she's dabbling around with witchcraft. She gets introduced to a spirit guide. The spirit guide, first of all, you shouldn't be seeing your spirit guide. You shouldn't be your spirit guide should be there. And if they want to communicate with you, they will communicate with you. And there are ways to communicate. I've never used a pendulum. I guess that's a way you could do it. But I don't think you should be seeing her. I don't think if it's a female spirit guide, you should be seeing her in your house. So first of all, I think that's totally wrong right there. The whole male thing, obviously, I don't believe it's a spirit guide. I think it's something a little bit more malicious. I think it's something that probably has a little bit darker intent. I think that you opened up a door and it saw the door was wide open and there was a bright light shining through, and it decided to go check out and see what the hell was going on, and it found you on the other side. And it liked what it saw, and now it's going to stick around and it's going to absorb your energy, and it's going to be everything that you want it to be so that it can stay close to you and deceive you, basically. The fact that you saw it and freaked out, it probably wasn't intending for you to see it, I'm going to guess. I mean, if it looked like a rake, that'd be pretty scary. So I could imagine that it probably freaked you out. All black with wide eyes sounds like a negative entity to me. The fact that your so-called female spirit guide was at your friend's house hiding in the corner when you called your friend who got you involved in this in the first place, that you just saw what looks like a rake downstairs in your living room, and that your spirit guide doesn't want anything to do with that shit and was at your friend's house. That right there is a cause of major concern for me. If that really is a female spirit guide, which again, I'm saying 50-50. So, okay, I'm scared and don't know what to do. You've talked to several people about witchcraft. Okay, I'm not an expert on witchcraft, but here's what happened. You opened up a door. You continued to widen the gap of the door by continuing to use your pendulum. So now what you need to do is you need to close the door. I would not use your friend who got you involved in this in the first place, because honestly, I don't know that I would trust her. She should have been more diligent in warning you that this wasn't like play school activities, that if something positive can come through, something negative can also come through, that there's no way to discern between the two things once the door is open. You don't have control of that. So I would go and find a good psychic medium. I would find somebody who can who can understand what's happening in your situation, close the door, somebody who can cut the ties, somebody like Cena who can cut those ties, the cords that are binding to you, because this entity, I think this male entity has already got its cords into you. You need to cut those cords, and then I would find a new hobby and get the hell away from witchcraft and pendulum use. But you got a journey ahead of you. And I don't envy you, and I don't think it's an easy one. So I'm going to let Mike have it, because I know he's got a lot more to say. Along what I'm thinking, because I know it's going to come out of his mouth. I'm just trying not to say it. But so I
good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, exactly. Go get some help. So, you're going to need to get some help. Seriously.
Yes. No, I agree with you on that one. I really got into it, and eventually I would start to see a woman around my house, and there was nothing wrong with that. What is wrong with you? Oh, well, hey, there's some phantom woman in my house. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there is. So I agree with you, Dave. Spirit guides do not just roam around your house, and then let you see them. If they do, it's going to be in a dream. But as far as I'm aware, spirit guides do not just manifest.
I've never heard of it, to be honest with you. I've never heard of a spirit guide just hanging out with you in your house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you that they're always around you. But they're not sitting on the couch watching, The View with you.
No.
And they're also not going to, whether you have a pendulum, a Ouija board, or whatever, they're not going to sit around and chit chat with you either.
No.
There's a reason why we call them spirit guides. They're there to guide you. They're there to help you. They're not there to keep you company. So the fact that the Cyril, who said he was one of your spirit guides, is just talking with you, And then obviously once he threw out the whole love word, that right there should have told you everything that you need to know, that you are not dealing with a spirit guide whatsoever. You are talking with an entity who is trying to build your trust. You're talking with an entity who knows that you're talking to your other spirit guides and saw that that was a perfect way to get in. That for you to invite them in, that you knew absolutely nothing of what you were doing, and that you would believe anything that they said. And you fell for it. You absolutely 100% fell for it. You invited them in, you invited them to touch you. You did everything that you should not do.
I agree. I agree with you. I almost said 100%. I'm not going to say it, but I agree with you. Like, you just opened up every door that you could open up. You're just like, wee, the door is open. What's going to happen? Wee, the door is open. What's going to happen?
And and the thing about it is that if you're that naive and you're that inexperienced, I can almost guarantee you didn't close any of the doors.
Oh, no.
And especially if you felt safe in what you were doing. Oh, it's just my spirit guys talking to me. I'll just say goodnight and then that'll be it, or I'm done talking to you or whatever. For tonight, talk to you tomorrow. I mean, sooner or later, you're absolutely going to attract something that is going to lie to you, is going to deceive you, and is going to show up behind your couch and attempt to scare the living crap out of you. I have no doubt that this Cyril was that black entity. And he's there because you invited him in. And I agree. Your friend is not going to be able to help you out of this. I strongly recommend you do not go. I mean, you can tell her everything. Don't take her word for anything. Don't ask for her help, because she's probably going to start throwing open spell books and stuff and throwing around stuff that she doesn't know about either.
That would be my greatest fear right there. Is she's like, oh, I can solve this. And then just makes it 100 times worse.
Exactly. Find somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to closing doors and booting out entities. Definitely has its claws into you, so it's not going to go willingly. In fact, it's probably going to scream and cry and be like, I love you. Try anything to get you to feel sorry for it. I wouldn't doubt it if all of a sudden Cyril turned into a murder victim. Something that lost his family and now all he wants is his daughter back. Whatever.
Right.
He's going to use every excuse in the book. And yeah, you need help, and you need help from somebody who absolutely knows what they're doing. Or it's just going to get worse. You can't just stop now.
Oh, no.
Like I have a feeling you're just going to like, oh, well, if I put the pendulum away and I never speak to him again, it'll be fine. No, it won't, because he's already there. And if he gets to the point where he knows like his little cover isn't going to work, then he's going to go full force, and he's going to let you know exactly what he is, and you're not going to like that at all. I'm sorry to laugh, but I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, you brought this on yourself, and you and I have talked for years on this show about people who don't know what they're doing should not be messing with this. And if you want to know what you're doing, learn from somebody, from somebody who's been doing it for a long, long time, not your friend who's just kind of interested in witchcraft,
right?
But all kinds of different ways. Train, mentor, learn. And then if you still feel safe about doing it, at least maybe you have the knowledge behind you in order to do this safely. And even then, it's never safe. No. I mean, you and I both know I've been doing this for 12 years now. I never go into investigation going, well, unless it's the Leduc. But I never go into a place to be like, we're completely safe. No. We know what we're doing. I mean, we do know what we're doing.
Right. But places I've been to dozens of times, I still have my guard up.
Exactly.
Exactly. I still can feel the comfort of being there, and the entities that are still there. I can feel if they're there, and I know that they're there, and it's comforting to know that they're still around. And we've engaged in conversation and stuff before, and I like that. But that doesn't mean that something can't show up at that location and kind of blindside you. It's never safe. Safe is not a word that's used in the paranormal realm of exploring and researching and investigating. I never use the word safe.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And, Dave's got 50 years of research. He's still learning. Everybody in this field, no matter if you're talking about the TV personalities of TAPS down to rookie people who are just joined a team last week, everybody is still learning.
Yeah, we're all going to learn.
And got to listen to the people, I guess, that maybe have a little bit more knowledge. Like I would listen to John Zaffis, way before I would listen to Zach Bagans. So, I mean, it just comes with what you're trying to do. But, yeah, you definitely need help to get help, I should say. I don't say you need help, like you need to take meds or whatever, but you definitely need to find help.
You might need to take meds after it's all over.
Well, maybe. Depends on how bad it is.
Yeah,
but
depends on how bad it gets.
Exactly. So, yeah, good story.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do let's go to our commercial in midsection here, and then let's come back with number 9, and then we'll jump into roads.
Sounds good.
Because I like that. I like this one with the security cam thing.
All righty. Well, everybody enjoy your intermission festivities, however you want to do it, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hey, this is Mike Couch from Lost Limbs Foundation. Make sure you check out Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files because they really need the listeners.
Hello, I'm Al Lagarde from Paper Route Productions, executive producer, Kindred Spirits, Paranormal State, a whole bunch of television shows. And I've worked with a lot of people on paranormal projects and met a lot of people in paranormal radio. And I want to say that Dave and Mike are two people who have a face for radio, in particular, internet radio.
Hey, it's Chris Fleming. More painful than a Tyrannosaurus Rex stepping on your testicle. Listen to Dave and Mike on Odyssey Files.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Lindbergh, and you are listening to the Odyssey Files with David and Michael. And let me tell you, it's almost as painful as a Skype glitch.
This is Andy Lynch, Director of Photography of Kindred Spirits. And when I'm not filming, aiming, and Adam at some creepy location, you can find me listening to the Odyssey Files with Dave and Mike. Or doing something else, I don't know.
Hello everyone, this is Ken Boggle. You hear so many great moments during each and every episode of the Odyssey Files with Dave and Mike, but if I had to really choose my favorite moment, it would have to be when the show is over.
And we are back. What?
Nothing.
Oh.
I was just mimicking you, and you said, "And we are back," and I said, "Back."
Ah, I see. You know how much I love being mocked.
Yeah, it was a mimic, not a mock.
All right. Well, the last one. Let's just say it's the last one. Daily activity stops after getting security cam. Anyone else experience this? So we were having paranormal activity due to one of
daily,
but one. Okay, there we go. Activity daily, but one of the big ones is our house kept locking family members out. Sorry. Mostly my daughter, but also my son and their dad as well, using padlock on the back door when no one had been in the room. I have a feeling this has not been written very well. Okay, so Other than that, things sliding across counters and floors right in front of us, things falling off shelves, boyfriend was touched, son has clothes pulled along with items disappearing and reappearing. Both my boyfriend and I had something bang and shake hard on the back door, the same one that's being locked. It has a window so you can see outside and no one was there. Well, the door locking people out thing got annoying. So I got a security camera to put on the back door to see what was happening. The first night, we caught the ceiling fan starting up on its own for like 5 seconds, then stop. And then after a day or two, nothing. So I told the ghost, "Hey, ghost." Perfect way to announce yourself. "Hey,
That's
ghost."
hilarious. I could just see somebody standing in their kitchen doing this.
Absolutely. "Hey, ghost, if you happen to be here, if you want us to know you're here, there's a camera in the kitchen on the back door. Just do your thing there, and we'll know you exist. It's been over a week, and all activity has stopped. No one is getting locked out, and nothing is moving on its own. No one else is getting touched, and no random bangs or anything. It was daily before, so it's really frustrating. It feels like as soon as I let them know there was a camera installed, they got shy. I'm not scared of them. They don't give off bad feelings. None of us feel scared in our home, except if we get locked out. But that's just because we want back in. Is this typical? Has anyone else experienced something like this?" So I have two different theories that are coming to mind. One, yes, there are a lot of spirits who do not plan on, they don't want to be on camera.
Mhm.
They want to do their thing and they want to do it to you, and they don't want to be made popular. They don't want their activity or whatever put on TikTok. And I think that they know, if they're an intelligent spirit, they can keep up with the times. So my team has actually been experimenting with that. Like I have an 8-camera 4K DVR system. I have camcorders. I have body cam. I mean, I have all sorts of video equipment. And for the past, maybe a year now, I don't think I've used my DVR system in like a year. And the cameras pretty much just go on us. And we always ask if you would like us to turn it off. I have found that, it's up to them whether they care if the camera's on them or not. And some do. Some just don't want to be caught on camera. That's not what they're there to do. They're there to annoy and bother you, and that gives them their thrills and their happiness. And as soon as you make it so, you make it known that they're being filmed, they won't do it anymore. So that's theory number one. Theory number two is a little different, and that is like everything that you mentioned is like poltergeist in origin. The tucking of the clothes, things sliding across counters, the doors locking, like it's all physical.
Yeah, stuff disappearing and reappearing.
Exactly. And so I'm wondering if somebody in your house has telekinetic abilities and for some reason maybe felt unsafe or is going through something. And when you installed that security camera, it made them feel safer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they calmed down. They didn't worry about it too much. Nobody's going to come because we'll know, they just settled down and got calmer. And once that happened, all of their telekinetic abilities got subdued. Honestly, if you want to test it out, take the camera down and see if it comes back, and then put it back up and just test it out that way. I definitely think it's one of the two. I think taking the camera down and putting it back up maybe 2 weeks later to see if the activity returns is a great way of testing which one it is.
I see both sides of the coin that you're going there. I think that as far as the entity that's at the house, I think whatever it is, if it's not a poltergeist manifestation, so I'm just going to go there first. If it's not a PK manifestation, it is an intelligent entity, most likely a previous homeowner who doesn't like what you're doing. Something specific that you're doing, is not a fan, and is basically has the ability and is doing it, is locking your ass out of the house. That's what's happening. And I think that's their way of saying, you know what, I don't want you back in my house. They still think it's their house, or they're trying to reclaim their house because of something you're doing that's pissing them off. So they're locking you out as a way of trying to get you to leave, make you uncomfortable. But I could definitely see what Mike said with the installation of the camera. If it is, let's say it's the daughter, right? Let's say the daughter's, for whatever reason, had a traumatic experience at that door that she hasn't shared with the family, and it started this ungodly amount of fear energy that's just pouring out of her and creating all this crazy shit to happen. Now that door is protected, with modern technology and a security camera, she's calmed down, and now this stuff has not happened. If that's the case, I don't know that it's the best move to remove the camera, because it's going to start. My guess would be, if it is a PK manifestation, it's going to start up right again away. It's going to start up again. I would be thankful that it has stopped, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would leave the camera. I would leave the shit exactly where it is. I wouldn't do any experimenting.
Oh, no, absolutely. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there is that chance that if it is PK, that the daughter got her fear got satiated and she's fine now. But if you start screwing with shit, maybe she won't let, just assuming it's her, or saying it's using her as an example, that maybe next time or the third time that this happens, she won't be able to settle down. And now that shit's rampant in your life. So I would be thankful that that you've got things calmed down. I would leave everything alone, and I would move on with your life, is what I would do. And if it is the homeowner, if it is on the flip side of the coin, if it is an intelligent spirit and it was the homeowner who was locking you out because it didn't like what you were doing, then I'm with Mike on the fact that it does not want to be videotaped. It does not want to be caught on camera and then thrown on to YouTube or TikTok or whatever social media platform you might throw it on. And that's fine too, because then the problem is still resolved. Either way, the problem's resolved with the installation of the camera. So I would leave that sucker alone, let it be thankful that it's happened like that. But to answer your question, has anybody else experienced this? I have not. I can't say that I have ever, that I can think of off the top of my head anyway, where somebody's having activity and they install a camera on a back door and everything just goes dead silent. Have I ever seen that before? Off the top of my head, I cannot say I have. So this is something new to me. I don't know. I mean, have you seen it, Mike? Have you seen it? Got any particular instances where a client installed a camera and all of a sudden everything just became hunky-dory and all the scary stuff just went away?
No, but I mean, things did in this one, things didn't fully go away. I mean, the very next night or whatever, they said that the ceiling fan,
turned on for a little bit. Yeah.
Turned on. I mean, then after a while, obviously, a week or something like that, everything
is calmed down. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm almost wondering if whatever entity is there saw the fact that they could watch the ceiling fan like on their phone or on the computer screen or whatever, and they're like, F. They have a camera on me now.
Right.
So I mean, and it almost goes to the human characteristic of not wanting to be caught. So, I mean, you have this ability to not be seen. And if you want to pull pranks on people, the last thing that you want to do is get caught and be seen doing it. And so that human trait of wanting to get away with it scot-free and nobody knows who did it and might take away the fun out of it for this entity. You know, it'd be like, well, now they can catch me. Now they might see me. You know, now there's no mystery to it because they can see the lock getting turned or they can see the ceiling fan going around. And so it might not be fun for them anymore.
And he might move on.
Yeah, exactly. And he might have. Maybe that's why he was like, well, I'll find somebody else that doesn't have a security camera. So, I mean, there's that factor too. Just the human condition. And it's interesting. I like it. I like the fact that just installing this security camera might get rid of all of your issues. I would not be surprised if there were more stories out there like this. It's just we haven't come across them because everything stopped. Why post anything about it?
You know, I would agree. And I think this is like, it probably is substantially more common than we think it is. Because obviously, ever since the Ring doorbell got invented and installed in houses, you can spend probably a week straight watching video clips on the internet on Ring video, ghostly apparitions and spider webs blowing by and raindrops and a moth flying into view and somebody's dog running across the driveway. I will admit, I have seen a couple of videos that were caught by Ring doorbells that made me scratch my head. But again, who's to say that those aren't manipulated with software? And some people are extremely good at video editing. And they obviously could create something like that, you know? And so in the back of my mind, I always have that kind of self-doubt now, regretfully. I wish I didn't have that. Like, I wish technology wasn't that good that if somebody showed me a piece of evidence, it was like, man, look at this. Like, we've been experiencing this for like 5 years. And then this Ring doorbell technology came out. And I thought, man, what a great thing to possibly like see exactly what's happening. And then like after experiencing something for a long time, you install this new tech and you actually catch what's been happening. And so you've got this evidence that goes hand in hand with this long time personal experiences. I think that's absolutely phenomenal. Regretfully, that's usually not what happens. It's usually somebody who doesn't understand anything about the paranormal, and they see a moth fly by or they see a spider web drift by, and they think it's an orb or the neighbor's cat runs through. And I think a lot of people freak out because it shoots in night vision, and so everything is colored differently. And I think at first, probably not so much anymore, but when it first came out, people were like, well, wait a second, my neighbor's cat is black. This thing was pure white. I don't understand it, you know? So stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I wish there was a way to discern whether or not things have been manipulated, but obviously there's not. So what are you going to do? Got to take everything now with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of the time that we live in. People want their 10 minutes of 15 minutes of fame or whatever Andy Warhol said decades ago.
15 minutes of fame. Yeah.
Yep, everybody's looking for their 15 minutes of fame. And if that's how they deem to get it by manipulating a video off a Ring doorbell, then I guess that's what they do. But enough of that. So good stories. You know, I like some of these stories took us directions that we hadn't gone before. So I like them. We had a couple other ones there that we'll bring them back some other time. I do want to say, kind of before we get into roads, that, and it's kind of a big deal, I think, because I really like the Northern Lights, is that the Northern Lights this Thursday are expected to be visible in 17 different states.
Yep. There's supposed to be a solar storm or whatever.
There's going to be a huge solar storm. Yep. So between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. local time is a good time to get out and view, they said. I mean, they're talking places, obviously in Alaska, but places as far south as New York and Maryland, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Indiana. That's really far south. Maine and Maryland are the states that they're saying that you should be able to prevalently see the Northern Lights. So if you've never seen them before and you want to give yourself a treat and go out and watch what is an absolutely beautiful light display from Mother Nature, get out this Thursday and get away from the city lights and go check them out. Hopefully in your area, you'll be able to see them.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll forget like I always do. And then I see my friend Chris, who's a phenomenal photographer, and he just travels all around. He recently tried storm chasing, but every time
cow.
No, but he did get some pretty cool cloud photos. But I mean, the last couple times that the Northern Lights have been visible in Minnesota, he's gotten some unbelievably, like, I look at him, I'm like, I wish I were there. Like, yeah. I wish I could have remembered. I wish I would have known.
Yeah.
I wish I could stay up past 10. which I can. I typically don't go to bed till like 11:30. So it's just, I completely forget. So yeah, send me a message like, hey, Thursday or on Thursday.
I will.
Like,
I'll
hey,
send
Northern
you
Lights
tonight. Yep, I will. I'll send you a message Thursday because I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm heading north of the cities. I will be kind of up by Stacy in that area. Kind of near my old stomping grounds where the old house was in Lindstrom, and there's no city lights up there. It's pretty dark, so I'm heading up there and taking my camera gear, and I'm going to go up there and see what I can catch. So it should be a pretty good time. So I definitely will send you a message and be like, "Hey, look to the north," because you don't have a lot of light pollution out by you.
Well, there's an outlet mall.
Yeah, a little bit to your south, but I mean, you're going to be looking north, so it shouldn't be that bad.
No. And I wouldn't be against, I mean, if it's clear and they were just beautiful, and I'm just like, well, it's a little blurred out because of
just
the
drive
lights
up
behind
north
me.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably hop in the car and go up for like an hour or something like that, and then drive back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sounds like a game plan.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I've tried to delay this long enough.
We were talking about topics tonight, and I'm like, Mike was busy today and didn't have a ton of time. And I'm like, well, let's just finish up highways. And he's just like, highways. The whole entire time. And I'm like, look, I get it. Haunted highways, it's all whatever. If I see one more story about a lady in white who gets hit by a frickin' vehicle and then like the car stops and people are freaked out and they get out and then there's like absolutely nothing there, I'm going to vomit if I read one more story about that. Honest to God. I
actually,
there were two lovers walking home from prom holding hands.
The one highway that I really wanted to talk about last week and we didn't get to, so I really want to talk about this week, is obviously Route 666.
I was just going to say Satan's Highway, I bet.
Say yeah. I mean, it's got, I mean, obviously now it's US Route 491, but I was just reading, the road features a pretty spooky reputation. Some of the strange activity witnesses are a haunted truck, the girl in the white dress.
Oh, can't believe it. Girl in a white dress.
Weird lights, hellhounds, disappearing drivers, the skinwalkers, and Satan's sedan.
That's a lot of claims. I like the hellhounds.
There's a couple that we found that included something along the lines of hellhounds.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like the fact like you've got hellhounds chasing your vehicle down the road. No, I think that it's. I think that it's a.
No, you don't.
Like I haven't driven it personally, but I think it's just a really desolate stretch of road with like not much there as far as visual stuff to look at. And I think that I think people just get sucked into that kind of like that white line in the middle of the road thing.
Road hypnosis. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of truckers, I think that was I'm pretty sure that's the one that has like a whole bunch of stories from truck drivers, and nothing against truck drivers. Truck drivers, I know a lot of truck drivers. And it's but you get probably not anymore because of all the rules and regulations in place and stuff and the way they can track stuff now. But back in the day, like some of these guys used to really push themselves and drive substantial, like really long hours, sometimes a couple days straight or whatever, or just drive straight through from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I got to put some of these stories to just road weariness and hallucinations. And yeah, you saw something and maybe it was a sagebrush blowing, right? And if you've been up for 20 hours and there's a sagebrush blowing down the side of the highway and your lights hit it just right and your brain's super tired, could you see that as something that it's not? Yeah, I think so.
And are people thinking that they're hellhounds because they catch the reflection of the red eyes, or something like that?
Right. And so, could it just be coyotes, obviously?
Well, it could be that. I don't know.
There's wolves out there, but there might be wolves too.
Well, there's
but coyotes for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, and obviously this isn't to do with animals, but it's misidentifying something. But people, the government, the highway patrol or whatever, puts out, cones and reflectors. And I can't tell you how many times, like I've approached, like the U-turn in the middle of the highway, like where the police officers sit to catch speeders or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's reflectors all around. And like, I'm like, oh, there's a cop there. And I get up there and it's like a cone right next to, one of the barricades or whatever. And they all got reflectors around.
Yep.
There's nobody there. So, I think that a ton of what is going on, as you said, is being tired, not seeing anything forever, and just misidentification.
Yeah, I think so too. I found this great article. So I bypassed the whole personal story stuff, through all those things. And I actually I found something reputable, and it's from the Denver Post, June 5th, 2013, published in the Denver Post, that says Satan's Highway Route 66 likely to get name change.
Yep.
And the reason, and it's pretty cool, because two things here. Number one, they normally, it's pretty rare from this story, and I'm not going to read the whole thing and with everybody's names, but the guy who's the director of the highway said when he was interviewed in this story or in the paper that it's really rare that they would ever change a stretch of highway to a different number. He's like, it's just extreme. He said the only reason that he agrees with like the mystical reasons, like the people who are like, well, I don't want it because it's the mark of the devil. It's the sign of the devil. It's the beast's highway, Satan's highway. He doesn't, none of that shit matters to this guy. So this guy is just like, you know what? I'm just tired of having to replace the road signs. He said, because I can't tell you how many times we go out and put the US 666 highway markers up, and then a week later, all the ones that we just put up are gone. He goes, and then we got to send the guys back out, and we got to get new ones up there. And he said, I don't care how well we try and bolt them in. He goes, these guys really want these things really, really bad. And he said, he goes, sometimes it's the same night. He goes, sometimes we'll put them up in the afternoon, and the next day we'll be going to the next, driving past the one we just installed to go put the next one in that was stolen. And the one we just put in was stolen that night. And he's just going on and on. So I found it to be pretty hilarious that, like some of the logical reasoning behind not, about changing that from Route 666 to 491. So obviously it happened. There was a lot of stuff involved in it. It goes through, I don't know exactly what state it's in. I don't know if it's in Colorado. It's right by the Four Corners. So I don't know if it's in Utah or if it's in Colorado where the tribe is, but it goes through one of the reservations or two of the reservations. It goes through a Ute reservation and it goes through another reservation. And I don't want to be disrespectful. Is it Navajo? Okay.
It's Navajo. Yeah.
Okay. So it goes through two different reservations, and they both of them have kind of wanted to get that negative stigma changed. It was funny because in this article they interview one of the lady who's a tribal member, and her whole entire reason for voting to change it was because her luck at the casino has been so poor lately. It obviously was 100% the fault of Satan's Highway being close to the casino. And she's on record as saying that and I'm not going to use her name, but it's if you look at the article up, she's on record as saying that she feels highly that things are going to get substantially better for her as soon as the road signs change to 491 from 666. So,
right.
So there's a human feel good story about that.
Right. But I mean, I just want to throw this in there because I found an article from the Washington Post.
Nice.
This was written a long time ago. This is written in 95, but still. So the thing hadn't even been changed yet. But it's talking about the power of the 666.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes right along with what you were just talking about. This is believers or not. So in London a few years ago, so this probably would have been like 1992, officials bowing to an unexplained rash of auto accidents and complaints from unnerved motorists stopped issuing 666 on license plates.
I believe that.
I guess when I didn't know this, when Ronald Reagan and his wife moved to Los Angeles after the White House, their number on their home was instantly changed from 666 to 668. So they had 666 St. Cloud Street, and they had it changed to 668.
Some people just feel strongly about the negative connotations of that number. I know that there was it didn't say what credit card, but there was a credit card that was issuing as it was sending out, and it went through this string of 666 numbers, sending them out to people. And people were sending the cards back, man. They're like, no, you need to reissue the card because I'm not having a credit card with 666 on it. There is a stigma to it.
Well, this is what I mean. And this goes back to what we've been talking about almost the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The thought form, the thought.
Right.
And almost the collective consciousness, because you and I both definitely agree in the whole global consciousness thing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, something that is that popular, that so many thousands and millions of people see per year is the highway, 666. Whether they're believers or not, they're thinking about it.
Right.
They're either, I don't believe that, or they're like, we need to get off this road.
Right. Something bad's
But I
gonna
mean,
happen. Right.
But as millions of cars drive down this road every year, all of that energy is being left behind. So,
It's being poured into that blacktop. Yep.
How many of these claims, how many of these feelings and everything are coming from us?
I think that's a great question. And I would say it was just a road. That's what I'm going to say.
It's just a road. Exactly.
It's just a road, man. Like, it shouldn't even have been named that. So, I'm going to come back to this. So I'm going to answer your question first. So to me, it's just a stretch of highway. The fact that it got the designation 666, and then of course, people who are pro Satan or Satanists or pro the devil were probably touting the road. Oh, look, it's the road of Satan. This is great, man. We're going to hang out, rah, 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 whatever. And then obviously you've got people, you've got the Christian side of that coin who's like, no, we're not. No. Who the hell numbered that road? Because that should not be called, there shouldn't be a road numbered 666. And this is the reason why, because in the book of Revelations, and then they go on with their whole dissertation about why it shouldn't be numbered 666. So you've got both sides of the coin playing out here. And then, like you said, you get on the road. Let's say you're fearful of it. I think you're amped up and you're waiting for something bad to happen, or you're waiting to see something. And so you're in a natural state of heightened awareness, right? You know, just naturally, just because of the stupid number on the road. So it's only a 70-mile stretch of road. So you're only on it for like an hour. If you drove the whole thing, you know, like from where it starts in Utah to where it ends in Colorado, it's only 70 miles. So you're only on the damn thing for an hour. And so I don't know, you know, I think that there's certainly with as many, I didn't see exactly what year it was built, but
it was built in the 30s and 40s.
Okay. Well so I'm going to read this quick. So there was no sinister intent behind numbering the Highway 666 in the 1920s. The road initially bore the number 660 because it was the sixth branch of a road off of an interstate route, then labeled US 60. When Kentucky and a handful of other eastern states disputed the numbering of US 60, claiming the digits already belonged to one of their regional roadways, the giant crescent of highway linking Chicago to Los Angeles became the fabled Route 66. And the Four Corners detour off of it, with parts bleak and others beautiful, was thus renumbered 666 in August 1926.
Yep.
So that's what I was going to throw out there. So this stretch of highway has obviously been there for a while. I think over the last 100 years, close to 100 years now, let's just say 100 years rounded up, then I think there's a ton of energy being poured into it. And I think these hellhound manifestations, and I think visual sight, could there be some anomalies? Could there be some weird shit happening there? Hell yeah, there could be. Was it there when they poured the blacktop? No, it wasn't. Unless when they went through the reservation, they did what they normally would do, which totally disregarded any kind of sacred burial sites or any sacred mounds and just plowed right through them and then crushed the bones into the concrete mixer and then dumped it into the roadway, which, as we know, they did that at the prison in West Virginia, and they've done it in millions of other locations where they totally disrespected places like that. Could that be a catalyst for some paranormal activity? Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, and also take into account, you know, what you were just talked about how it always already has that stigma, especially for the people who believe. So, I mean, it goes right back to what Grant Wilson says. If you go into a house, expecting to see a ghost or find a ghost, you're going to find a ghost.
Right.
So when people go on this highway and they're expecting to see hellhounds and ghosts and
red
haunted
eyes
trucks
staring back at them and whatever else, right?
They're going to find it. You're going to find it.
Yeah. Your brain will see it. Yeah.
You know, the funny thing was there's a quote by, who's it by? It's by some guy.
Some dude
who would know. I don't even see his name, but he says it's a dangerous stretch of highway, and I'm not sure why. A lot of it has to do with alcohol abuse, but there's also been these things that have occurred out of nowhere on a flat stretch of road where people lost control of their vehicles and just wrecked and died. Just unusual things where you would least expect them to happen. So, I mean, what does that remind you of recently?
I don't know.
Purgatory River.
Purgatory Road. Oh yeah, Purgatory River, the bridge crossing. Yeah.
You're just talking to me about that like less than a week ago.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. Yeah,
but
it's the stretch of highway where there's nothing there. Completely wide open, no hills, no crossroads, no nothing yet. Since the 1950s, there's been 60 major accidents within a 1 mile stretch of road as it crosses the bridge going over the Purgatory River. And 30 of the 60 accidents has been fatalities, including one last year where a lady's car flipped upside down and she was crushed to death in her vehicle on the bridge. And there is no explanation for how her car flipped upside down, which I thought was extremely high. Now, I didn't go and spend thousands of hours researching highway database information to find out like if there's other stretches of road. I'm sure there probably are, and that's kind of what sparked this whole idea about haunted highways when we were talking about stuff. Is there something weird going on there? I think there is. I think 30 fatalities out of 60 major accidents on a stretch of road that's completely wide open. No mountains around. It's all flat territory. It kind of sounds the same. Is it road hypnosis? I don't know. Do people approach the bridge and they freak out for some reason? I don't know. I don't have explanations for that. Do I think it's strange that there's a 50% fatality rate for auto accidents there? Yeah. Do I think it's even stranger that when the guys went out there with equipment and started measuring stuff, that they came up with really high EMF fields for absolutely no reason over the river and only on that stretch? Like only that 1/10 of a mile when they're going over the bridge? Do I find it odd that the spikes were large? Yeah, I find that strange.
Thought you didn't want to talk about it.
Well, you got me talking about it now.
I just wanted to mention it. That's all.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to dig any deeper into it. I think it's strange. I think that something's going on there. I think it's strange that we got spikes on going over the Stillwater Bridge. It was, I can't explain it. We couldn't explain it.
Right.
Something's happening. I don't know what it is, but
So coming back to
yes,
Route 666.
Yes.
I found this interesting because this is kind of weird, especially in the middle of nowhere, like straight road, beautiful road, good scenery. It says 15 to 20 times a year, someone will pass out in the middle of the road, stumble across the asphalt too slowly, or stagger in front of an oncoming truck.
Ouch.
Like that.
15 to 20 times a year?
A year. And that was 1995. Now, remember, this is coming from the article that was in 95.
Yeah.
But still, even then, when population obviously wasn't as big as it is now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
I wonder if part of that is the common, the issue of alcohol abuse on the reservation.
Well, they talked about that.
With the casino being there, I wonder if inebriated people, I don't know, like crossing the road to go to the cafe because they're hungry or who knows.
Yeah, I mean, they took a lot of it for the alcohol abuse. In fact, they were talking about the road that was, part of 666 that went down into New Mexico. That the two counties that it transversed were like the two most dangerous counties in the state for alcohol related driving.
Well, there you go. I think that has something. You obviously have to factor that in.
So, I mean, but yeah, but I mean, still, I guess it gives off an eerie feeling. We were talking about the truckers. The truckers drive the road and whatnot. And they have a quote here from a trucker from Texas. And he says, "I don't like it out here. It gives me the creeps." He says, "It's a beautiful," he checked in at a weight station in Shiprock. So he's like right in the heart of it. But he goes, "It's a beautiful road." He's like, "Nice asphalt, great scenery, but I'm glad when I can get off."
Yeah, I don't blame him. I wonder if because this is interesting now that you mentioned it. I mean, going back here, so it says few signs declare this stretch of the so-called Devil's Highway to be adopted by any Boy Scout troop or other do-gooders. The brown glass of tossed beer bottles and aluminum cans glint along the highway in the searing sun. A few sagebrush puncture crusty earth tinged with the sulfurous yellow stain. That's from the Denver Post article. That's how it kind of started out. So it's interesting that you talk about alcohol abuse there and stuff like that. And I had read that. I had read the brown beer bottles, on the side, all over the side of the road, and aluminum beer cans along the road. I wasn't thinking though that was a premise to it being, a highly alcohol abuse type of area. And I would say that certainly has to play into some of the major accidents and some of the deaths that are happening on that stretch.
Yeah. Yep.
If everybody's hammered, there's going to be some major accidents.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it's going to be.
I mean, the first thing that you're going to do, especially with your buddies, is you're going to get drunk and be like, let's go out on the highway and go, 125.
Sure. And let's go over to the casino. Right.
Or yeah, that too. Or coming home from the casino.
Or coming home from the casino and you're so you were buying rounds and you're hammered off your ass. And there's a stretch of highway where there's not much traffic. Probably. I mean, like I said, I've never driven it, so I don't know. But, let's just say that 2 a.m, it's not really busy. And you're like, there's nobody on the road. I can make it.
Yep. And then you see a flash of eyes from the hellhound and off the road, you go.
You stomp on the gas pedal, trying to outrun it. Next thing you know, you're doing 120 miles an hour and you lose control of the vehicle.
Yep.
So there was a shout out. I got to give a shout out here because there's a Phillips 66 truck stop on the southern outskirts of Cortez that features a small chapel run by the Trucking Troubadours for Jesus.
Trucking Troubadours for Jesus.
Yep. So we're giving a shout out to those guys.
Why?
I'm assuming there's, I don't know. And there's one of the guys in the interview here, Dave Olmsted, and I almost think that guy, like I know Dave Olmsted, 49, so he'd be 59 now. I swear, I don't know if that's a common name, but anyway, he's a Minnesota trucker, and he was interviewed in this article. And he was total agreement. It's a spooky number. I really don't care for it, and I'm much more comfortable when I get off of the road. So now we know how Minnesota Midwest values feel about it.
I don't know. I've never driven it.
I would go. Okay, so let me ask you this: if you happen to be out that way and it was an hour, let's just say you're out there in Utah or Colorado or whatever, and an hour away from you is this stretch of road that we just talked about. Would you go out of your way an hour to go there to drive the 70-mile stretch just to say you did it and just to kind of see what it's all about?
If I had the time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you had the time, right? That's what you're out there sightseeing for 2 weeks, whatever, and you're just driving around looking for shit.
But I'm not a very good sightseer. If I just be like, I don't know where I'm going, but
I would go drive it just to say I drove it.
I don't care enough to just be like, I just want to cross that off my bucket list. Like, it's not even on my bucket list.
No, it's not on my bucket list either.
I would do it to, like, I would have equipment going in the dash.
Too. Yep.
I would drive it to see if anything
spiked
would actually, would spike.
I'd have a dash cam going in case something weird ran across the road.
It would be an investigation drive, is what it would be.
Right. That's what it would be for me too.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, that's what I would do. I wouldn't just drive it just to say it, just to drive it. I mean, I would have a tri-field meter going, and I would have a dash cam going, like a high def dash cam going, and drive, and just to see if something strange was on the side of the road, or if something ran across the road, or if we got some weird spikes for some reason, high EMF fields, or if you saw a UFO, you saw something in the sky above that stretch of road that you couldn't explain.
Would you?
Because you're kind of out
during
there.
the day or the night?
I think I would do it both, to be honest with you. I think I would do it
one way during the day, the other way back.
Maybe. I mean, I think I'd do it like around 9-10 o'clock in the morning. And then I would wait like 12 hours until it got dark. And I would do it. I would come back the other way, let's say 9-10 o'clock at night. I don't believe in the whole witching hour thing. Paranormal activity happens when paranormal activity happens. Yep. I've seen it happen at every single time of the day. There's no reason that you have to be out at 2-3 o'clock in the morning looking for it. So I think if it's the whole point of that would be to drive it once when it's light out, and then drive it once when it's dark, just to see if something changes, if there's an atmospheric change. Is kind of this. I'd be more scientific minded, that looking at light and no light type of setup. Is there visual anomalies that are caused in the dark? Fake, like natural reasoning. Right.
So here's something. If anybody is out that way and has access to that highway, I mean, I don't know if it still has that type of feeling to it now that it's 491 and not 666? Is the stigma gone now? I mean,
No.
that would be an interesting question all on its own. Honestly, if you,
I was just going to say that's a good question, but I think about it this way, right? The energy's already been poured in there for 100 years. It's not
True,
it might not be added to anymore, let's say, as much as it was, but it's
well,
still
it's going to dissipate. It's going to dissipate over time.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's been
100 years worth of.
Well, a little less.
Hypothetically, all right. Hypothetically, I'm just rounding up. So, right, 80 years, whatever. I'm saying that there's a lot of years of energy being poured in there if we're on the right path of talking about global consciousness and energy like that being poured into a stretch of road and creating it into something.
Right.
I don't think it's going to dissipate that quickly. I think it would still be active today.
So if it is active, I mean, and there's still claims, even though they don't know anything about, maybe they do know that they're on, the famed Highway 666, even though it's 491 now. But here's what I would love to do in an experiment. I would love for somebody who doesn't say a word to anybody, gets in their car, drives there and back, whatever part of the road that they're on, drives the 70 miles one way, drive the 70 miles back, doesn't say a word.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wonder what would happen if you announced it. You're like, hey guy, you went on your Facebook or you went on YouTube and you put it out there and you're like, hey guys, tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to be driving the famed, Highway 666.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, I would like you guys to think about me and this road and see if something happens then. To see, do you suddenly feel weird? Do you, does shit just suddenly start popping up? Do you see the haunted truck? Do you put that thought in people's heads and tell them to think about it at the same time that you're driving it to see if you experience that? I think it's a good way to see whether thought manifests something.
I agree. I think the difficult part of that would be getting let's say a million people focused on that while you're driving that stretch of road.
Well, I mean, that's the other question. How many people does it take to get
to
get it? I don't want to say a thought formed, but to get some type of focused energy towards that place. Does it take 10 or does it take, 1,500? Does it take 1 million?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course we don't.
There's no way to measure.
Learning.
Yeah, right. There's no way to measure that right now.
Well, you would literally have to have some sort of location you could have constant access to.
Right.
So I was so jealous of Craig when they got that 2 years
on the island.
2 years at at Pavalia Island or whatever the hell that was.
No, it was
not Pavalia. That's in Italy.
Yeah, that's in Italy. It was whatever, it'll come to me. It was in the harbor in Sydney.
Yes. I still have the opening for it, but it's some weird name like Gulf.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's named after a bird for some reason, that it's got like the name of a bird, something island, but it's a bird's name, like Cockatoo Island, right? That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is.
Cockatoo Island. Yep, there you go.
Cockatoo Island. When they got access to that place for 2 years straight, 24-hour access. I mean, you could have done so many different experiments in that when you were constantly there.
Absolutely.
But I mean, no place around here would give you that type of access, especially not for that long.
No, hell no. And then when you did find something weird and you made it and you released it, then you just get the axe. Whack. Sorry, we don't want to talk to you anymore. And by the way, you're not allowed on the island.
Not allowed. Yeah.
Just so you know, when the guy is checking your name on the day, like they open up the clipboard and there's a photo of you and your team, and then none of you are getting on the boat. So don't waste your money.
But I mean, It's interesting, and that's a good place to do it because you have all the claims and the history from before, and now it's changed. It's like if you took Edinburgh Manor and suddenly made it an apartment complex.
Mm.
But if nobody that lived there knew that it used to be Edinburgh Manor and an insane asylum, would it actually have activity?
I'm going to say yes.
I guess well, let me rephrase. If you turned it into apartments and then 10 years down the road, after you've lived in this place, it's been established, nobody really knows or cares whether it's
anymore,
active or
right?
not.
Yeah.
Would it subside? Would it change? And
I think it would dissipate, but I think you'd still have energies that were there because of the land in that location. I think you've got people with mental illness that don't understand the difference of right or wrong, or don't understand the difference of being that they're dead and move on. They don't comprehend that. They don't have the ability to comprehend that. So they're still wandering around there. And I think in a situation like that, it's always going to be like that to an extent. Is the place going to blow up paranormally? No. Is there going to be activity? I think there'd always be activity somewhat. It might be rare. It might be once a year. It might be every couple of years. Who knows? But would it still be there? I think it would be.
Gotcha. So with the 8 minutes that we have left, do you have any other highways you want to talk about?
Well, I do want to hit this one. So the Haunted Screaming Tunnel of Niagara Falls.
Ooh.
Okay. So located in the northwestern corner of Niagara Falls in the Canadian province of Ontario, the legend says that if you stand in the center of this tunnel running underneath what was once a drainage tunnel and light a wooden match, the match will be blown out, and then you will hear the screams of the dying girl. So the story goes on to say that this road was cut out of rough stone, was built in the early 1900s, 16 feet high, 125 foot long tunnel that connects Canada and the United States. Rumor has it that there was a farmhouse on the Canadian side, and that the farmhouse caught fire. This young girl got her clothes caught fire. She managed to run and make it to the tunnel, where she succumbed to the fire and she burned to death, fell to the ground in the middle of the tunnel, and that she still haunts the tunnel. I guess, and there's some photos here too, which are interesting, but I got to take everything with a grain of salt. I guess it's considered to be one of the top haunted locations. Like, there's hundreds of people that have gone there. 196 Wagner Road, if anybody's looking, it's on Google Maps. That if you go there, that there's all kinds of weird shit happening in this road, in this tunnel that goes through and connects the US and Canada. So I don't know. Interesting. Would I go there? Yeah. Yeah. And am I taking wooden matches? Yeah. And am I going to see if something happens and I'm going to have all the equipment running? Yeah, absolutely I am. Somebody, if there truly was somebody who passed away like that, somebody needs to go help that girl and help her move on and get her out of the damn tunnel, because she doesn't need to be reliving burning to death every day.
So what's the full address? Because there's like a Nottawa, Ontario, Canada. There's a Charbot Lake, Ontario, Canada. There's a Gravehurst, Ontario, Canada.
The screenshot that I have just says 196 Wagner Road, Niagara on the Lake, Ontario, on Google Maps.
All right, let's try Niagara. I have a Wagner Drive in Niagara Falls.
Yeah, it says Wagner Road. It's right by a place called Presidio Estate Winery, Perridiso. It's about, as the crow flies, a block.
Presidio what?
Estate Winery. And it is to the east of that, about a block on Warner Road.
Oh, yep, I got it.
Okay.
It ends in a cul-de-sac. I like
Yeah, it does
colors.
now. It used to go through. You can see where the old roadway used to cross over what is now Queen Elizabeth Way, which looks like a highway, 2-lane highway.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, it looks like train tracks. It is train tracks.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah. Yep, it looks like it used to cross over that. And then the road probably cut it off. Or they moved the train tracks to the south of it there. Looks like maybe.
Yeah, it's right next to the road.
Yeah.
So where's this tunnel?
About a block east of the winery.
Where the cul-de-sac is?
No, not that far down. See the stretch of woods, and then there's a house on the same side of the winery. It's halfway in between the edge of the winery and where that house is.
Oh, that's the house where the chick burned?
Street. Yeah.
Oh.
And she made it to that tunnel.
I don't even see the tunnel, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's old now.
Well, I'm sure it is, but I find it hard to believe that. Was she on fire? She says she succumbed to the fire.
She succumbed to the fire is what it says.
And she made it all the way into the tunnel without burning to death. I find that hard to believe.
Legend says that the tunnel still holds the dying screams of the girl who was burned alive.
Yeah. Well, you know how much I take into that one.
She reached the tunnel before she fell to the ground, and that is where she perished. Other tales have said that she was set on fire deliberately by her raging father, or that she was raped and burnt in the tunnel to hide the evidence.
Naturally.
Given the eerie atmosphere, the tunnel is not suitable for children. No, that's a warning you don't see every day.
It's not suitable for children.
Oh, well, how about this? The tunnel was used during the filming of David Cronenberg's 1983 adaptation of Stephen King's The Dead Zone. It was used as the place where Christopher Walken's character sought temporary refuge. So not only is it haunted, it's famous.
Nice. If Christopher Walken was there, it's definitely famous.
If Christopher Walken was there, I need to go there just to say that. Love that guy. All right.
Alrighty.
So that's how we're going to wrap up is the burning girl in a vacated tunnel that's not really used any. Obviously, it looked like it was used quite a bit, but now the roads have changed there. So it's going back quite a while, I would imagine. So no more Lady in White stories for a while. I'm tired of them. After 2 weeks of researching and stuff, I'm sick and tired of Lady in White stories.
Oh, well, in 2 weeks, that's going to be our topic. Was going to be all the Lady in White stories.
Do that next week while I'm gone. Yeah.
No
and
way.
When I come back, we'll do something. We'll talk about something fun, not Lady in Whites jumping in front of cars.
Next week, as I said at the beginning of the show, is going to be a special edition. If you're joining us later in the show and you didn't hear what I said previously, obviously. Next week, Dave will be gone, and I will be joined by my team, and we will be doing a video-only show where we will be revealing the evidence that we caught from our to-date cemetery investigation, and talking about our personal experiences there and everything else. It should be a really fun show, but because there's a lot of video, you're just going to have to, you're just going to have to watch instead of listen. But Dave will be back in 2 weeks, and we got a lot of great stuff
coming up
store.
Yep,
that's right. So, all right. Well, that does it for us. So, thank you to everybody for watching and listening here tonight and in the future. Stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here. Have a good